this part of the video, I want to talk to you about actually finding data. This can be very tricky. To find data, we will need some keywords to actually search for. And we'll also need some locations, some data aggregators that can help us find data sets. So here I've listed a number of data aggregators that you can use. These are websites that have or sources that have a lot of data that you might be able to use, and I've given a short description to get you started. To actually go looking for data, I'll need some keywords, some words to search on. So the words that are written down for this project are dog, breed, trait, characteristics, galgo, and pointer. So as I've written down here, it can be useful to look for some synonyms of a word. So basically the same meaning, but a different way of writing the word, like dog, or the more scientific name for it, canine. So by doing that, you can make sure that you get all the data sets that are available. So let's start by searching for dog breeds on the Google dataset search. So I've opened that up here. So let's look for dog breeds and see what we get. Well, they found 100 plus data sets, but a lot of these might not really be what I'm looking for. So let's check out what these data sets are about. All the information basically that I have here about the data set is metadata. I was talking about metadata in my previous video. Metadata is like super important to understand what your data is about. So let's look at the metadata that we have here. First, we have the source. So this data comes from dimensions.com. I don't know anything about this website. I don't know if it's reliable. I don't know what type of data they have. That's not really listed here. But now I know that it comes from dimensions.com and I can check out what that source is about. There's also the description. So this is quite useful because now I know that it's about basically... This is a quite general description of what dogs are. I guess this website is about describing things. And here they describe different dog breeds. So this is a nice interactive tool. Might actually give me some information, but it's not really raw data yet. So let's keep looking. I also saw another data set here. Let's look at this one. So here you see there's a bit more metadata. For instance, here is also listed the file type or format of the file. So it's a zip and CSV. So zip is a collection of files and CSV is a comma separated file. And if you want to know more about file formats and how to use them, you can check that out in the guide. I've written a bit about it here. Which ones are easy to use, which ones are hard to use. And there's also a bit about converting data formats in case you find something that might be useful, but it's not a format that you can use. It can be useful to convert it. Let's go back to this search. So this is in CSV. That's good. That probably means I can use it. It also lists when the data set was uploaded. That's also really useful. And who the author is can also be quite useful. So we have the source as well. So that's quite good. So now let's look for some data sets on another aggregator on Kaggle. So Kaggle has a lot of data sets. It's one of the first that I probably would check out. So I've searched here for dog breeds. So if I search for dog breeds, then you see that here you get some different metadata because it's a different website. One of the nice things here is that I can see how old the data set is, and I can also see the size. So I have a little bit of an idea of what kind of size we're working with. 2 gigabytes is really big. It's about cats, but yeah, that's really big. 4 megabytes is a little bit easier to work with. If your files get really big, then probably Excel or like simple data tools won't be able to open them anymore, and you would probably need something like coding or programming to explore the data. So that's something to look out for. And yeah, let's check out this data set. What is this data set about? So it looks like it's about something called license type. So here you see a description of the variables, or at least the names of the variables in this data set. So these are the columns here. And that's quite nice. And so Kaggle has like this live view, so you can see already a bit of the data without downloading it. So that's really useful if you want to get some like quick insights. Another thing that I've noticed is that you can download one file for each of the years in this data set. So that's super useful because now I know that there's data ranging from 2007 to 2017. So that's the time span that this data set covers. So that's great. That's quite useful. And what's really cool here is that Kaggle already is giving me a very basic visualization of some of the data here. So this is like really a lot of metadata that's being offered. Another cool thing I want to show you is if you click on the column view here, you get for each of the columns, so for each of the variables, you get the most common values for that column. So these are the most common values. So you can see that 32% of the values in this column are dog individual spayed female. You can also see how many like valid or mismatched or missing values there are. So you have an idea of the quality of the data in that column. And you can see how many different unique values there are. So this is even more metadata. So this is actually like a really rich example of metadata. Here it also shows the most common. Looks like there's not too many mismatched or missing values. So that's a good indication that we're not working with a lot of empty values. That's really good. Yeah, so that's a lot of metadata that we can work with. Yeah, another thing to look out for here would be the reliability. So here in the inspiration for this data set, it says, I love dogs. To see trends in dog breeds, why are some more popular than others? So this gives me the idea that this person has actually collected this data from another source so that they can analyze it later. So I don't know anything about the reliability of it because I don't know the real source of the data. So at this point, I would probably write down for myself in my research project, find out what the reliability of this data set is. So look into the source and yeah, see if you can find any more information. I see that here there's a discussion. So some people are discussing this data set. Might be a good place to start. So what I'm doing now, like actually looking at this data already, here. So now I'm already kind of trying to make sense of the data because I'm looking at the column names, and maybe I'm also reading some of the lines here already, some data points, and that's already trying to make sense of the data. So I've actually already started the process of exploring this data set. So before I continue, I wanted to show you that another one that I found here using the same search parameters, so the same keywords, is this one about breed characteristics. So this is a data set where this first data set that I found is basically about individual dogs that are somewhere registered in some system. So you have a lot of like the same breed of dog. There will be a lot of entries here, and I can see the individual dogs' names like Butter. But in this other data set that I found, there's only one entry for each of the breeds. So this is like a data set that is a collection of traits for a certain number of dog breeds. So this data set I could use to get some more background information. For instance, I could look here for pointer. Then I can find, well, this is probably what they're used for if the dogs are used for sport. Here I can find the average weight. So that's super useful because one of my questions was about the average weight. Of course, this is about the English pointer and not necessarily about a cross of a pointer and a galgo could result in a different average weight, but it still gives me some information. It's also important to note here that it's the male average weight. So Roka is a female. Here you can already see a bit that very often when you find data, it's oriented towards males, even apparently in dogs. One of the problems that we have in the data world. What's really nice here is that I can find some traits already written down. So apparently pointers are active, affectionate, amiable, even-tempered, kind, loyal, and intelligent. I think that fits pretty well with Roka. She seems to want to cuddle a lot and she seems quite calm. Any more useful information here? They apparently have an intelligence scale going from 1 to 79. Don't know what that's about. I need to do some more research before I can use that. But yeah, apparently pointer score 43. Seems somewhere in the middle. I don't know what the other things are about. Let's look up galgo as well. So as I said, galgo is a Spanish greyhound. So this is perfect. This is the exact description of the dog breed. Apparently they also have average weight of 25 kilograms for males at least. They're affectionate, calm, quiet, and gentle. I think that fits really well with how I know Roka to be. She's still sleeping in the meantime. So yeah, it can be nice to compare the data that you find with your own experiences or even some qualitative data that you already have. But always be careful. For instance, in this case, it's just one dog. There's a lot of biases going on because it's my dog. So be careful with comparing with exemplary data that you found. Yeah, so these are some of the data sets that I found that I might be able to use in my project. Is there anything I missed? Yeah, I have a couple more questions about this data set that is listing individual dogs. For instance, are these dogs from all over the world? Are these dogs from a specific region? When are dogs registered in this database? It looks like a lot of the data is about whether or not they have been spayed. So it could be that it's a data set from maybe a veterinarian. And what else? Yeah, why was this original data set created? So this person collected this data, but probably from another source. And why was the source data collected? So it's good to be able to answer those questions so that you can understand your data better. So that's some holes in the metadata that I would like to fill. All right, so that's basically a bit about finding data, and I'm also kind of talking a bit already about exploring data, but I'll open the actual data file in the next video and we can explore it a bit further. Thanks for watching.